A little while back, I made a video talking about 13 live streams that took a deadly turn. And of course, there was no way I could stop there, so in this video I'll be talking about 12 more. Here are 12 more live streams that turned deadly. Airi Sato was a 22-year-old Japanese influencer, regularly sharing her life by streaming to an online audience. Broadcasting on the Who Watch app from various locations in Tokyo, her public presence inadvertently created a pathway for a disturbing real-world confrontation. Among her viewers was Kenichi Takano, a 42-year-old man who initially connected with Sato through her live streams. Their online interaction eventually moved offline, leading to multiple in-person meetings. This relationship took a dark turn when Takano began lending her money around 2022. The sum grew substantial, reaching approximately 2.5 million yen, or about $17,000. The financial arrangement soured. Sato failed to repay the debt, even after a court order mandated her to do so. This unresolved obligation festered in Takano, fueling a deep resentment. In January 2024, he reported Sato to the police, claiming she was deliberately avoiding him to evade repayment. His frustration escalated into a calculated plan. Takano purchased a survival knife. He then travelled about 100 kilometers from Oyama City to Tokyo, armed with the weapon and a clear intent to confront Sato. Sato's livestream would become a critical vulnerability. She announced her broadcast, and Takano exploited this opening. He meticulously watched her livestream, identifying distinct buildings in the background to pinpoint her exact location in the Shinjuku district. This methodical tracking, from acquiring a weapon to travelling a significant distance and using her own broadcast to find her, is a disturbing exploitation of the platform's transparency. The attack unfolded near the Taka Danobaba train station on March 11, 2025. As Sato stood facing her phone and broadcasting live, Takano approached her. He then began stabbing her repeatedly with the survival knife. She sustained over 30 stab wounds to her upper body, including her head, neck, and torso. Viewers tuned into the live broadcast heard her screams for help before the stream abruptly cut to black. The sudden silence on the feed was followed by the distinct sound of emergency vehicle sirens, audible to those still watching. Her audience, now witnesses to a crime, flooded the chat with desperate messages, typing questions like "Where did she go?" and pleas such as "Someone help." The sheer number and precise targeting of the wounds contradicts Kano's later claim that he did not intend to kill her. Sato was rushed to a hospital with critical injuries, but was pronounced dead shortly after. Takano was apprehended at the scene, still in possession of the knife. He was charged with Sato's murder and has since been sent to prosecutors. He underwent a psychological evaluation and was deemed fit to stand trial, though as of this video it would seem his trial still hasn't begun. Wu Yongning was a 26-year-old who made a living on the internet as a rooftopper. He was a former film extra, but he found his real audience dangling from the rooftops of skyscrapers in China. He posted hundreds of videos of his exploits on social media sites like Weibo and Hushan, where he amassed a massive following. His content was simple and direct. He would climb tall buildings, often without safety gear, and record himself teetering on ledges or clinging to antennas with just one hand. He was an experienced climber, not a novice. He had been doing this for a while, and it appeared to be a successful if dangerous career. For his last stunt, Wu was not just seeking a thrill, he was working to pay for his wedding and for medical care for his sick mother. For this single act, an unknown sponsor was offering a prize of 100,000 won, or about $15,000. On November 8, 2017, Wu Yongning went to the 62-story Huanyuanyua Center in Changsha, China. The building's elevator only went up to the 40th floor, so he had to climb the remaining 20 stories to reach the roof. Once there, he began live streaming and prepared to perform a series of pull-ups from the edge of the building, a stunt he had done many times before. However, this footage would in fact end up being the graphic account of his body failing him. The footage shows him on the ledge in a calculated process. He first meticulously wiped the ledge and then swung his legs over and dangled from the side, clinging to the concrete with both hands. He pulled himself up once and then a second time. It was on his third attempt to pull himself back over the ledge that he visibly struggled. He thrashed, tried to find a foothold on the vertical wall, but there was nothing to grip. Eventually, after a moment, his grip broke, and he fell about 45 feet to the terrace below. The police were notified of his death the next day, on November 9th. His girlfriend, worried because he had not returned from the stunt, had called them. In the aftermath, his death became a legal case. His mother sued the video platform, Huajiao, on which he had posted his content. The platform argued it was not liable, that it only provided storage for his content. The court, however, ruled that because the platform financially benefited from his videos, it had a duty to ensure the safety of its users. It ordered the company to pay Wu's mother 30,000 won, or about $4,340, in compensation. Jabari Johnson, known on TikTok as Baba Skeng, was a 25-year-old Jamaican streamer and the son of reggae artist Jar Mason. He built his audience doing live matches and casual back and forths with other creators. On April 28, 2025, he went live in St. Andrew. That evening, around 6:30 p.m, Johnson was streaming near a small shop on Red Hills Road, chatting during a TikTok match. Viewers watched in real time as a man approached on foot. The man wore a hood and a mask. He came up behind Johnson and fired at close range, first into the back of his head. As Johnson fell, the gunman kept shooting, striking his head and upper body multiple times, then left on foot. Johnson died at the scene. The attack lasted seconds and was simple in method, but devastating in effect. A screen recording of the stream quickly circulated. It captured Johnson mid-conversation, the sound of the gunfire, and the instant collapse before the feed ended.
I spend shall I play music. I am father blink, but I want shell man. You know you better to put it up much time, man. Bless by the body though. Yo, my side on a snipe up this stuff for me there, please. Me I beg on a snipe. Beg on a snipe them my side, please.
By the time the police reached the area, the gunman was gone. Police in the St. Andrew North Division immediately opened a murder investigation, but as of this video, it would seem no arrests have been made. Johnson's murder actually fit a chilling pattern that was building in Jamaica. In September 2024, Kiana Watson was killed while live on TikTok, and in December, Marlon 41 Bushead Samuels was murdered shortly after ending a TikTok stream. Police noted those cases when confirming details in Johnson's. And this is not the last murder of a Jamaican TikTok user that will be in this video. Xavier Foga, known online as Naya Gang, was a 23-year-old TikToker from Old Harbour, St. Catherine, Jamaica. Like Baba Skeng, he grew fast on the app doing live matches, arguing about status and badness, though police said he had not been on their radar for any violence or gang activity. On December 7, 2024, a little after 9 p.m, he went live from Panton Lane outside his home area. He was mid-match with another streamer named Ari Bazan, a man who honestly looks like he's AI generated or something, with how he speaks and how he just barely moves at all. And the two were arguing about who could track who down. A man seated beside Naya looked up, spotted trouble and bolted. Naya himself tried to run, while viewers heard the first cracks of gunfire as the feed kept rolling.
Cannot talk. Only a doctor can pronounce a man dead.
I'll if you're 14 and you look for me, because you're big man, you can get gunshot.
Well, all you, me not care if you are 9. Gunshot in your blood clot. Let's go.
Sound like a waste, man. I stop la my fool come from, you know, lie.
No. Now deal with country badness. Me live close to you, motherfucker. You see? You now run the file. And you say you a killer.
Never tell her that.
Two gunmen had walked in on foot. They fired at close range, hitting Naya in the head and upper body just off camera. The stream captured the chaos in audio, then fell silent. Naya was rushed to the hospital and pronounced dead. Detectives initially had no clear motive. Senior police called it a mystery in the first hours, saying they were canvassing family in the neighborhood. Friends told reporters he had been focused on growing his platform and making money, not feuding in the streets. Weeks later, investigators publicly named a suspect. On January 29, 2025, the Jamaica Observer reported that Romaine Rumstain Thompson, shot dead in a police operation in Manchester, had been identified by police as a suspect in Naya's murder. That update did not answer every question about planning or motive, but it marked the first concrete name tied to the case. And as of this video, the case still isn't closed. Antonio Perkins was 28 and living on Chicago's west side and worked at a nearby McDonald's. On June 15, 2016, he opened Facebook Live in North Lawndale. That night, a little before 9 p.m, he stood in the 1600 block of South Drake Avenue with friends and let the camera run, and voices of adults and a child could be heard off to the side. He panned the block, and a car passed once and circled back. Roughly 6 minutes into the stream, gunfire erupted in a tight burst. The phone dropped into the grass, and blood was visible in the frame. What happened couldn't actually be seen, but the audio could be heard. There was panic, people yelling for someone to call 911, and friends shouting Antonio's name as they realized he had been hit in the head and neck. Responding officers and paramedics arrived while the stream was still running on the ground. Perkins was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital and pronounced dead at 9:07 p.m, while the phone kept going. In reports that followed, police described Perkins as a documented gang member and noted prior felony convictions. His father and friends publicly rejected that label and said he had been focused on work and his kids. Whatever the label, no one was charged on the day of the shooting, and to this day, authorities have never found the people behind the shooting. "20-year-old Wutisan Wongtali lived in Phuket with his partner Jiranuk and their 11-month-old daughter. After a fight about suspected infidelity on April 24, 2017, he left home with the baby. Jiranuk later said the relationship had turned volatile, that he had hit her older son before, and that she grew scared when she realized both he and the baby were gone. That afternoon, he opened Facebook and streamed from the rooftop of an abandoned hotel in Phuket. Police said the stream happened at about 4:50 p.m. In the stream, he secured around the baby, tied it to a beam, and dropped her over the ledge before Wutisan ended the stream. Afterwards, he also took his own life, but that was not broadcast. Officers later found him dead beside his daughter. A senior officer said Wutisan had grown paranoid that his partner would leave him. He took his child to the empty building and filmed the killing to make sure she watched. The stream stayed on his page for roughly a day and drew hundreds of thousands of views before Facebook took them down at the request of Thai authorities. What happened before police got there was already irreversible. By the time relatives and officers traced the location, it was already too late. Jiranuk later told reporters she discovered the clips online and alerted police. She did not blame Facebook for the delay. She blamed Wutisan. Thai officials, under pressure over the stream's availability, said they will review how quickly inappropriate content could be removed after receiving police requests. Sadly, it's already far too late to save Jiranuk's daughter from her own father. "18-year-old Dylan Hemphill was from Detroit. On the night of April 2nd, 2018, he went live on Instagram with a friend at a house in the city's northwest side. They were in the 17600 block of San Juan Drive. Viewers saw cash and a rifle on camera, and the stream was casual but reckless, and did not stay that way for long. Dylan's friend, 18-year-old Daewon Cook, had the rifle with a bayonet attached. According to investigators, Dylan handed in the weapon. Cook's finger hit the trigger while he was handling the bayonet. The gun fired at close range, and the round went into the back of Dylan's head, and he dropped out of frame. The stream did not end right away. Cook called 911, medics arrived, but Dylan was pronounced dead at the scene. Cook was arrested and charged with the misdemeanor counts of careless discharge of a firearm causing death. He was released on bond after a court appearance. A few weeks earlier, he'd even missed an arraignment, leading to a warrant, before the case moved forward. The charge carried a maximum of 2 years. By July 2018, the case ended in a plea and sentencing. A judge gave Cook 3 years of probation and ordered community service that included speaking to students about guns and social media. Police in the court described the shooting as accidental, but the result was the same. Dylan was dead on the floor of a house while the phone kept streaming. Denis Muravyov and Katerina Vlasova were both 15 and from Pskov Oblast in Russia. On November 14, 2016, they barricaded themselves in a house in the settlement of Strugi Krasny and began live streaming on Periscope. Viewers saw the two teenagers with guns referring to themselves as a Bonnie and Clyde pair while police gathered outside. The lead-up started several days earlier when they ran away from home after fights with parents. Inside the house, they accessed a safe with weapons, including 2 double-barreled shotguns and a TT pistol. When Katya's mother came to the address to get her daughter, she was shot in the thigh. The teenagers then went live more than once, talking to viewers and to friends as officers tried to make contact. Police said they originally came because the pair had been reported missing. When officers approached, shots came from an upstairs window and hit a police van. Negotiators worked for hours. The broadcast showed the teens alternating between bravado and fear, explaining disputes at home and saying they did not see a way out. Parts of the stream captured details that were hard to ignore. They showed long guns in the frame. They read the chat, argued with commenters, and spoke about what would happen if they surrendered. At one point, Katya said they had no options left. Denis answered that surrender would mean they would never be together again. The standoff ended with both teenagers dead inside the house. Investigators reported that they died before special police forced entry. What sat at the center of the incident was how public it had been. The Periscope sessions ran for hours across multiple streams, drawing in real-time comments while gunfire negotiations unfolded off-screen. Afterward, the case was used by officials as a reason to review school mental health support in Russia, citing the shock of a teen couple broadcasting armed resistance and their deaths on the internet. On October 9, 2019, a 27-year-old German neo-Nazi named Stephen Balliet drove to the synagogue in Halle during Yom Kippur and started a Twitch livestream from a helmet camera. He had posted a manifesto in English and brought improvised guns and homemade explosives. He tried to force his way in, but the entrance held. Inside were 51 people. His weapons malfunctioned repeatedly, and you can hear him swearing at the jams. He eventually gave up on breaching the door. Outside the compound, he shot his first victim, 40-year-old Jana Lange, after she had confronted him about the noise. He then drove to a nearby Turkish kebab shop, opened fire through the window, and re-entered to shoot 20-year-old customer Kevin Schwartz at close range. Both of his victims died. Balliet injured others while fleeing towards Landsberg. The livestream itself added a second layer to the violence. Twitch later said about 5 people saw the attack live. An autosave copy stayed up for around 30 minutes and drew roughly 2,200 views before removal, and then copies spread to other sites. What the video showed was crude but lethal intent colliding with unreliable DIY guns. He pointed weapons at people and pulled the trigger, only for the gun to stall more than once, then cleared a stoppage and got rounds off a very close distance. At the synagogue, the door stopped him. At the kebab shop, it did not help anyone inside. Police arrested him later that afternoon after he crashed a stolen taxi near Zeitz. Prosecutors took over the case as far-right terrorism. In court, he admitted the motive and described wanting to kill those inside the synagogue. In December 2020, he received life imprisonment with preventative detention, effectively shutting down any path to release. Bhairav Singh was a labourer from the Gando area of Doda, Jammu and Kashmir in India. He had a running dispute inside his extended family over stone and construction material he said relatives had taken from the land he considered his. In videos he posted, he complained that the stone had even gone into a house they built and no one in the village had fixed it. By mid-June 2023, the quarrel had boiled over from arguments to threats recorded on his phone. On June 16, 2023, he opened Facebook at a family home. The man he targeted was an elderly relative, later identified as Ram Krishan. Viewers watched as the argument turned into a killing. Singh swung an axe at close range. Multiple chopping blows landed in front of family members. Police said Krishan died on the spot. Krishan's daughter, Anju Devi, was also struck and left critically injured. Krishan's granddaughter was also present. The stream captured the assault in real time before Singh fled toward nearby forested ridges. Officers tracked him within hours. Doda police said he was arrested roughly 4 hours after the attack and that the axe was recovered. He had injured himself with the same weapon while being detained. Investigators told reporters the immediate trigger was the construction material dispute. The family's account of the motive conflicted with that statement, but there was no disagreement on what the video showed: a man with an axe using it to close range on an elderly relative while broadcasting on Facebook. Jean Parmenov, real name Raphael Gravin, was a 46-year-old French IRL streamer who mostly operated on Kick. He was known for letting other creators push him around on camera. The pattern had been visible for months and was already under investigation by prosecutors after reporting that described an online abusive business. Viewers sent money, co-streamers insulted him, slapped him, and staged cruel bits that kept the chat paying and the audience growing. He worked most recently with the Le Local crew around Nice. Clips and write-ups showed scenes where he was struck, choked, doused with liquids, and shot with a paintball gun, while the chat egged it on. Police had even visited the set before, but the show carried on. He kept appearing. He called the harsher moments staged when questioned by authorities, which only complicated whether anyone felt responsible for stopping it. In August 2025, he decided to do a 300-hour streaming marathon broadcast in a rented place north of Nice. The camera never stopped. People drifted in and out of frame while he tried to sleep on a bed a few steps from the action. Fans noticed that he wasn't moving and alerted the other streamers, one of whom threw a bottle to try and get some sort of reaction out of him, only for him to continue sitting there completely still. The stream was then stopped and the emergency services were called. He was pronounced dead on August 18, 2025. An autopsy found no traumatic injuries and no lethal blow, and nothing that directly tied another person's hands to the cause of his death. Prosecutors said the likely causes were medical and/or toxicological, but that didn't end the criminal inquiries. A probe that had already been opened since December into the on-air violence shifted into whether abuse of a vulnerable person had taken place and whether illegal violent content had been broadcast. Kick banned the people involved in that stream and told authorities it would cooperate. It really is quite a disturbing story. He was a middle-aged man with health issues who had become the centerpiece of a channel built around his humiliation. Viewers paid to see him get hurt, and the camera normalized the hits, the choking, the ridicule, and the forced, quote, bits. In the final hours, the stream didn't show any kind of dramatic struggle. It showed his body failing, while people around him hovered between taunting and trying to wake him, only to find out that their stream had finally gone too far. Brenton Tarrant was a 28-year-old Australian man with no prior criminal history. His life was one of social isolation, as he had no close friends and was described as having a loner-type personality. For years, he travelled extensively alone, a factor that allowed him to plan and move without drawing suspicion. His mother said he began frequenting 4chan at age 14, a notorious hub for white supremacist and conspiratorial material. According to his high school's anti-racism officer, he had exhibited racist behaviour since his teenage years. Tarrant himself claimed in his manifesto that the internet was responsible for his belief system, asserting that, quote, "You will not find the truth anywhere else." He moved to New Zealand in 2017, a strategic decision motivated by the country's permissive firearms regulations, which allowed him to legally acquire semi-automatic weapons that he could not obtain or transport into Australia. He had 6 firearms, including 2 semi-automatic rifles and 2 shotguns. He illegally modified a semi-automatic rifle to accept high-capacity magazines. He conducted reconnaissance flights over the Al Noor Mosque in January 2019 using a commercial drone, and his preparations included a detailed budget and a to-do list. His manifesto, titled The Great Replacement, was a digital companion to the live stream. It was emailed to over 70 media outlets minutes before he put his plan into motion. On March 15, 2019, he started a live stream from a camera attached to his helmet. He played music while driving to the Al Noor Mosque, including a Serb nationalist and anti-Muslim song. Speaking to the audience directly, he said, "Let's get this party started." He arrived at the mosque. As he approached the front entrance, a worshipper greeted him by saying, "Hello, brother." Tarrant immediately fired his shotgun, killing 4 worshippers at the entrance before entering the mosque. Inside, he opened fire with an AR-15 style rifle. A worshipper named Naheem Rashid charged at Tarrant, tackling him to the ground and dislodging a magazine from his vest. Tarrant quickly got back up and shot Rashid multiple times, killing him before returning his focus on the rest of the congregation. He went back outside to his car, where he killed a man and retrieved another rifle. He then shot 2 people in the car park before re-entering the mosque. Inside, he finished off people he had already wounded. After a second time in the mosque, Tarrant exited. He He then drove towards the Linwood Islamic Center, firing at fleeing worshippers and cars through his windscreen. Terrence arrived at the Linwood Islamic Center. A worshipper named Abdulaziz Wahabzada ran outside and threw a credit card terminal at Tarrant. Tarrant fired back, but Wahabzada picked up a discarded shotgun and threw it at Tarrant's car, smashing the back window. Confronted by an unarmed man, Tarrant pulled a bayonet from his vest, but then retreated into his car and drove away. A police pursuit was initiated, and 2 police officers rammed his car off the road. Tarrant was arrested without resistance. Just 18 minutes later, after the first emergency call, the helmet camera continued to record until his apprehension. Throughout the live stream, Tarrant provided a self-directed commentary, revealing a disturbed and detached analysis of the violence. He could be heard reflecting on his performance and the effectiveness of his weaponry. His only stated regret was the malfunctioning of an ammunition clip, which fell out of his vest when he was tackled. Tarrant referred to his victims as targets and his actions as a firefight, a deliberate act of dehumanizing the people he was killing and recasting the massacre as a military operation. Tarrant was later charged with 51 counts of murder and 40 counts of attempted murder, and 1 count of engaging in a terrorist act. Tarrant pleaded guilty to all charges in March of 2020 and was sentenced in August 2020 to 52 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 480 years, for committing what was easily the worst crime New Zealand had ever witnessed. And that's the end of the video, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new, and consider supporting me on Patreon. All patrons get early ad-free access to videos, and higher tiers get their name on the board and a shout out. I want to thank all of my patrons, especially those whose names you're seeing on the screen now, particularly John, Brendan O'Connell, Adam Clayton, Count Lagula, Danny Jade, Paul Mendoza, Squishy, Alex Christmas, Bella Schwartz, Brody Millers, Belsi Gell, The Bearded Glaswegian, Stimulate, Inquisitor Zarius, and Dick the Cock Johnson and the Woodmaster at WrestleMania X69 or Maybe Not Dude. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.